Nemo Radio is on the air.
A, B, C. A, always, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
Hey, it's John Nemo. Welcome back to another episode of Nemo Radio. So glad you are here. And I want to dive into this because LinkedIn, and I've been on a LinkedIn kick lately with the podcast, I realized that. I know, shocking for me to want to talk about LinkedIn, if you know me at all. But it's really been interesting over the years to watch how LinkedIn has changed. And what I'm talking about is using LinkedIn in order to sell your products or services, right? Basically using LinkedIn for lead generation and sales. That's what I've been doing on that platform since 2012. That's what I'm continuing to do. And really, one thing has not changed. All the money on LinkedIn is still in the mailbox. It's still in one-on-one messaging, personalized messaging. What has really changed is just the landscape of that tool and how it's getting used and abused right now. And honestly, it's really bringing up burnout. There's so many people you message on LinkedIn now, even if you're using a really good message template where you're not pitching, you're not spamming, you're not asking for anything. Like, I've got a great template I use and that I teach all the time, which is, I call it the ultimate one-on-one LinkedIn message, where you say, hey, person, whatever, curious, are you interested in blank? And blank is a topic. You think, are you interested in generating leads with LinkedIn? Are you interested in improving your website search ranking? Whatever, like, are you interested in blank? The reason I ask is I have a great free training, content, ebook, whatever, that covers some sort of benefit around the topic. And then you ask permission. You say, if you like, I'd be happy to send you over a free copy of, or a free, link to whatever, the training. Just reply yes or thumbs up. And if you're not interested, you take the pressure off in the end of the message. If you're not interested, no worries either way. So like that message really has converted well for a long time, that framework, that template. And obviously, you change some of the blanks and everything. But what's interesting is you always have to remember this. And it's a great lesson of whenever you get negative feedback from people, they're not just reacting to you. They're not just reacting to your individual LinkedIn message, your individual email, your phone call, whatever it is. They're reacting to all of their experiences in that medium. So what I'm seeing on LinkedIn with one-on-one messages is people are feeling pitched. They're feeling spammed. They're feeling like, man, every time I open LinkedIn, if I accept an invite, 2 seconds later, I'm getting a message from that person pitching me their stuff, or asking me for a demo, or wanting me to get on the phone, or, just interrupting me with stuff I didn't ask to be sent, or spamming me with links to their content. Like, people are just feeling overwhelmed and solicited. And again, Gary Vaynerchuk has a great line. He says, marketers ruin everything, right? So marketers have come onto LinkedIn to the one-on-one messaging and just are destroying people, right? They're trying to use it like you use interruption advertising and spamming, and they're not treating the person on the other end of the message as a human being. They're just, spray and pray, spam, whatever, copy paste, go crazy. And so what I'm seeing is the need to pivot and adjust. And, there's a guy that I really have enjoyed getting some training from is named Josh Braun. You can follow him on LinkedIn. He used to be a sales guy for Basecamp, which is a project management software I love. He used to sell for Jellyvision, which I love as well. They created the game You Don't Know Jack and some of these other fun games like Jackbox TV and things like that. So anyway, he's really good at sales. And he has a good lesson. It just reminded me of this. And I've heard other people do it too, but he talks about, in your messaging, just call out the elephant in the room. Like, start there. What your prospect is already thinking about or already on guard about, like, call it out right away and label it. And he also pulls a lot from a guy named Chris Voss, who wrote a really, it's a red hot book right now on negotiation. I haven't read it yet. I need to read it. But Chris Voss is this former FBI agent. I forget the title of the book. Sorry, I'm blanking. But VOSS, Chris Voss, a famous, exciting book right now about how to negotiate as if, what's the title of it? Like How Your Life Depends on It or something. Anyway, Chris Voss is somebody Josh Braun loves. And he said, he quotes Chris Voss saying, when you label a negative, it will diffuse it every time. So like if you just come right out and call out the elephant in the room and label it, the audience really doesn't have anywhere to go. Right. So like the examples Josh Braun gives is like for cold calling. So like a script he'll use is like the prospect picks up the phone, hello, and you'll say something like, well, you're probably going to hate me, Joe, because this is actually a cold call. So should I just hang up now, or should I go ahead and try to ask you my quick question? Or he'll call, he'll do a cold call, and the prospect will say hello, and then the salesperson will say their opening line, and the prospect might say, is this a cold call? And Josh Braun will say, yeah, it is actually. How am I doing so far? Like he'll diffuse it. He'll label it like, yep, you're darn right this is. And, the idea is to build this common objection, this common concern into your script, into your approach, right? So, for example, when I'm sending someone a one-on-one message on LinkedIn, what I can start experimenting with and trying is saying, oh, great, I bet you're really excited to get another message on LinkedIn that you think is going to be filled with self-promotion and spam, right? Like call it out right away, or your LinkedIn message can say something like, hey, Joe, it's great to connect. At this point, you're probably assuming I'm going to now pitch you all my services and instantly ask for money. Like label it and diffuse it, right? And put a smiley face emoji or a laughing emoji in there, because that will take people off guard, right? They'll be like, oh, you get it too. Like this is annoying, right? There was a guy named Tim Page, Paige. He used to do sales training for Lead Pages and some other companies. He had this great story. See, that's why I remember him, even though I heard this story like 6 years ago. Stories stick. That's why these analogies are great and strategies great, but stories will stick with you forever. And the story Tim Page tells about calling out the elephant in the room or labeling it is he used to go door to door selling high-end vacuums. So he would sell literally a $3,000 or $4,000 vacuum door to door. So if you know anything about vacuum cleaners in the United States, most of them are a couple $100, $100, $200, $300. A really high-end vacuum might be like $500. He was selling like $3,000 to $5,000 vacuums. Just ridiculous, right? So instead of going door to door and going in and trying to do a demo and showing how great the vacuum is and then bringing up the price at the very end, and then people have the sticker shock and they're like, oh my gosh, that's 10 times what I've ever paid for a vacuum. Why would I do that? He would start when they open the door and go, hey, and I don't have verbatim what Tim would say, but it was something along the lines of, hey, my name is Tim. A kind of a funny thing, you can see here I've got a vacuum. This actually retails for $5,000, and I'm going around the neighborhood trying to sell it. Would you like to see, what a $5,000 vacuum looks like in action? Like, he immediately would label it. Like, the big objection with this is the price, and I'm going to just spit out and just kind of laugh about it. Like, yeah, this is a $5,000 vacuum. Are you curious to see how it performs? Like, do you want to see why they think it's worth $5,000? And he would get people to invite him in to say, well, gosh, that's ridiculous. There's no way I'm going to buy this, but I am curious. Like, what does it actually do? Like, does it babysit my kids? Like, what else, what other? And so he would actually make sales that way because he could get in there and he could find a way to, again, call out the elephant in the room and really label and diffuse it so that people could then, move into the next step of the process. So it's something I want you to think about with your own messaging, whether it's your LinkedIn messaging, whether it's emails. A great example, a strategist on our team here at Nemo Media Group came up with, Bonnie. I'll give you a shout out. Bonnie, she's amazing, but nobody else is allowed to hire her because she's the best and I want to keep her secret. Sorry, Bonnie, if you're listening, but I don't want anyone else to know how good you are. I'm just kidding. I love Bonnie. She's the best. But Bonnie came up with this great strategy where we were having a client where they were marketing to people in an industry where, again, this is one of the things I do, whereas if we're reaching out to people and we're not getting a lot of good engagement, I'll just start asking, right? I'll start saying, well, okay, who are other people in this industry that we're friends with or know that we can ask? Like, hey, we're trying to do this. We're trying to get people in your industry to get interested in XYZ. What are your thoughts? What are your topics? And one of the pieces of feedback we got was this kind of, email fatigue, LinkedIn fatigue. Like, oh man, people in my industry just get hammered. They get hammered by vendors every LinkedIn message, every email is offering this type of training. And we were trying to help a client sell sales training and lead generation training. So, man, every single message is offering that. That's probably why you're getting tuned out. It's just, even though you're doing it in a permission-based way, you're offering a bunch of free value up front, you're offering free content, they're just going to lump it in with everyone else and just tune you out. So Bonnie came up with this idea. She's like, well, let's just call it the elephant in the room. And the subject line can be, please delete this message, right? So who's not going to get an email with a subject line that says, please delete this message, and not be curious and open it, right? So the subject line was, please delete this message. And then the opening line was something like, I know the fastest way to get you to delete this email is to say that I've got some lead generation and sales training for you, right? And then laughing emoji, whatever, crying emoji. And it was like, yes, I get it. I know you get hammered every day with offers. And then we were able to pivot into, and so if you're still reading, here's mine. Or if you're still reading, here's instead of pitching you something, how about I tell you a story, right? And then we had a great story of transformation of a person who used this training and went from $0 to $8 million in sales, et cetera. And so we're trying that where we're just calling out the elephant in email, like, please delete this message. I know the fastest way to get people in your space to delete a message is offer sales training, right? So it's just like, let's call it out, let's label, let's diffuse it so that we can get them to the next phase. And it's been really interesting because it really does work. Like, it really works when you call that out, because again, everyone else is almost trying to trick people, quote unquote, or trying to not really say what they want to do. I even saw this with webinars, where when I wanted to sell an online course, this was something that was suggested as a strategy that I tried, and it seemed to work pretty well depending on the product and the pricing, where early on, there became a model, the past few years with webinars where, oh man, you want me to come on a webinar? That means you're going to promise me free training, but no matter what, it's going to be like one of those timeshare things where you're going to pitch me something. I know it, right? My guard is up. I know you're going to pitch me something. Nothing's free. You're promising free training on LinkedIn lead generation, but I know you're going to try to sell me something. What is it? My guard is up. So I would actually come on the webinar and I would say, hey, great to have you here. As promised, today's free training is going to show you how to generate leads on LinkedIn. But before we get into all that, let me welcome my friend, the elephant, to the room. And I'd have video of an elephant stomping through a living room. And I'd be like, yes, I have something I want to sell you. Alert the media, right? I've got a great online course. It's called LinkedIn Riches. Here's the price. I'm going to make an offer at the end. But let's just get that out of the way. We can all take a deep breath. Let's exhale. Okay, this guy has something he's going to sell. How dare you, right? I said, and then I would say this. I'd say, and now that that's out of the way, you don't have to worry about it. You know what the price is. You know what the product is. That'll come at the end. If you're interested at the end, we'll talk about it. No problem. But right now, for the next 30, 40 minutes, I'm just going to do pure training. It's going to be free training, all my best stuff from the course about how to do this part of LinkedIn lead generation. And what I found was people would relax and be like, okay, great. And then there would be the people that are like, great, I'm just here for the free training. And they would leave during the pitch. But far fewer people left than you would normally see, right? When you, quote, spring the pitch on them. And now, especially, it was much more like, oh, okay, well, yeah, you said there's a product. You said you're going to make an offer, and here it comes. They were prepared for it. And many more people stayed and many more people bought because now that they had gone through all the free training, which I was able to say, and this, by the way, what you're going to see today comes straight from the paid course. So if you're really liking what you're seeing today, these 30 minutes, the paid course is 10 hours of this. If you think this is high quality and valuable, you can get the whole course, 10 hours, blah, blah, blah. Here's the special pricing. So again, it's just that concept across all these different methods of calling out the elephant in the room, labeling that negative so you can diffuse it and everyone calms down so that they can hear the rest of your message. So I want you to give that a shot. I want you to give that a shot with your messaging, your marketing, your presentations, and just see how it goes and where it takes you with conversions. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you soon on another episode.